I'm Kayla.
I'm Anna. This is Laughs and Legacies. Hi, welcome back to Laughs and Legacies. This week is a time during high school.
If you could go back to high school, having the knowledge that you know now, would you? I love having this conversation with people. I think it's hilarious.
If I did have the knowledge I have right now, 100% I can keep it.
Yeah.
That's such a hard question because I wouldn't change anything now. Like, I'm so grateful for everything that has happened and all the weird things I did because it's all made me who I am. But, I mean, yeah, I think I would. Like, I think it would be very interesting. I could be able to set myself up for success. For like the longest time, I didn't even imagine a life after high school. Like, I never had the idea of that. Like, all my friends, like, through junior high even, they, like, knew what college was and were preparing for it. Like,
taking all the AP classes, and I was like, what's that?
Honestly, I didn't even know. This sounds so dumb, but I really lived in my own bubble. I didn't really understand what college was, and my parents, when I told them that, they were, like, baffled. I didn't really figure it out and think about my future until, like, junior year when I was at a summer camp, and they started talking about college, and I was like, I've never really thought about that. Yeah, I would go back.
Yeah.
Set myself up for college success. I'm happy with where I'm at and what I have. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I really enjoyed high school, honestly. When people say, oh, I hated high school, it just kind of makes me sad because I had a flippin' blast. But I agree. I wish I would have known more to have set myself up, for sure.
Yeah.
And actually tried harder in my classes because I think I was pretty smart. I, like, never studied and still got good grades. But if I just studied something, I would have had better grades. I probably would have gotten something from a college, but I just didn't. Because I didn't apply myself at all. And with violin, too.
Oh, yeah.
I think if I had just tried, I would have been more successful. But
if I went back to high school with what I have now, like my knowledge, I would have quit orchestra sooner. She's really good at the violin, you guys. I am not musically inclined. It doesn't pique my interest, and I should have gotten out of there sooner. For those of you who have done like band or orchestra or other thing like that, like doing the playing test is an emotional roller coaster. I've never sobbed more in my life than doing a playing test because it's so frustrating when you do this whole song that you've been working your butt off for, and then you get one note wrong, and so you just keep doing the playing test over and over and over and over again, and
until it's like midnight and you're like, I just have to go to bed now.
I'm just sending it in.
Yeah, I was the same. I did it all the time. Just cried. I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah. I'm grateful.
Have you ever had a tie with somebody for a chair? He would take you into, like, there was like a back room that you could close the door and just close it enough. Everyone could hear you play. So everyone in the entire class was hearing you play, but didn't see who it was, and then they voted. Oh. It was awful. Awful. I hated it.
That sounds awful.
I did not like it.
I really tried on my playing test. I wasn't very good, but I tried, but when I turned them in, I made sure I turned it in a day late.
So it just didn't matter anyways?
No, I made sure I turned it in a day late, and I did good on them, so I got a good grade. If you turned it in a day late, it didn't affect your grade. It affected where you sat.
Yeah.
I turned it in late so I could always sit in the back with one of my friends who wasn't very good. And so she...
You were assuming, what if she listens to this?
She knows.
She knows she wasn't good.
Neither of us, like, tried. But after junior year or something like that, or after sophomore year, he put me into symphony. He told everyone to try out, and I said, I am not trying out.
And he did it for you anyways?
He was retiring, and, like, I swear his last final act before retirement was getting back at me, the little snot in the back, and putting me into the symphony because my playing tests were good. Like, yeah. They were not that bad. I actually really tried on them, crying till midnight, and he put me into symphony. And so I showed up first day of junior year in symphony, and the guy was like, "What's your name?" And I was like, "Doesn't matter. I will not be here tomorrow."
You quit.
I quit. I never showed up the next day.
He probably was so mad, but I loved Mr. Molding though.
Oh yeah, he was good.
He was a good guy. Anyways, we can stop talking about orchestra. It was a good time. Lots of emotional roller coasters within it, but good overall. One thing that I loved though, I mean, it started before high school even as well, but the end of the year party, like last day of school, we would always do a 007 party, which was so much fun. My mom would order all these pizza, and then they would, we had a snow cone machine, like exactly the same as the one from Bahama Bucks, and we would...
Oh, the shaved ice one?
Yeah, shaved ice, that's what did I say?
Yeah, snow cone machine.
Oh, okay.
Whatever.
Shaved ice, snow cone, same thing. We would just have that, which is incredible that we were able to eat as much pizza and that much sugar and then go run for over a mile.
Seriously, I remember actually feeling sick. I'd eat so much pizza, my lips would be red and dyed from the snow cones, and they were like, let's go run a few miles. Like, this sounds really good right now, you know?
Just crazy. But I just remember, you know, as years went on, obviously we kind of thought we had grown out of it, and as I was going through and like doing the prep for graduating, like to walk on stage and all that stuff, because they did a prep beforehand in our school, tons of people came up to me like, Kayla, are you doing the 007 party? I was like, we're seniors, like we're literally graduating, we're 18 years old. And they're like, yeah, those were the best parties ever. Why are we not doing it? Are you kidding me? And I was like, sorry guys, I didn't prepare for it.
That happened to me too.
Like Trevor was still doing it because he was younger, and I was like, I don't want all of us 18-year-olds with like these 12-year-olds. I guess that's probably not that big of a difference, but anyways, I was like, I'm gonna pass.
Well, okay, I was confused too because people came up to me still and they were like, hey, you doing your 007 party? And I'm like, wait, no. And everyone was like baffled because that was their plan every year. And
yeah.
I was thinking, you guys, it's not even fun because it's only...
Now we have to go run.
Yeah, like, we do that for sports now. Like, I was just doing track freshman year, and I was like, this isn't even a challenge for most of you. We're now past the point of 6th graders and junior high kids where we, like, you either can run or you can't. It's not just a bunch of kids, like, going for it. Like, you either can or you can't, and so it's not really a challenge anymore.
It sounds like you're saying can or can't. Like, can or can't.
Oh, whoops. People who shouldn't run. No, but it was a big difference in who can run and who can. So, and it was only a mile. When you're younger, it seemed like a lot more. But then when we were all in sports, it was, yeah. But those were pretty legendary parties. Like, my mom always got a huge, like, 10-foot ladder and, like, held up her phone and took a picture of all of us kids. And it's like a small army getting ready to run.
So fun.
They got the cops called on them multiple times.
Well, that was because they were holding, like, big flashlights.
It's
like
illegal
spotlights.
It's illegal to spotlight in people's yards, apparently. Like, with flashlights.
Because they'll think it's a cop.
Or something like that. I don't know. It's just
That's
illegal.
why the cop pulled him over. Because they're like, yeah, you can't do that. Because they'll think it's a cop.
Interesting.
That's what they have.
One thing from high school that I really, really loved was my geology class, okay? Senior year, we did a geology trip to the Grand Canyon. It was awesome. I love my geology teacher. He was so fun. Everyone loved him. He was super outgoing, whatever. Even when I graduated, I had gone on this hike during the summer, and I found these 2 really cool boulders down in the bottom of this valley in this wash. And I had picked up both of those boulders and carried those suckers out of the valley. And everyone's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I need these boulders, man. I'm going to give them to my teacher. Like, he'd love these. Because he, in his room, was full of boulders and rocks all around the whole room. It was tons. I just wanted to add to the collection. At the geology trip, I found out that he got wasted every year. And I was so excited to go with him to this trip, and I tried to talk to him, and I realized I was a freaking annoying kid while he was busted. He was busted drunk, and
that's just so weird to me. Like, I don't remember seeing any of my teachers drunk, or I don't know.
I went back to, like, go see if I can bring him those rocks at the new year, and, you know, my other younger friends were still in his class. I was like, can I bring in those rocks? Talking to my friends, like, if he, like, what room he was in. They're like, he got fired
for drinking
and texting the girls in the class.
Oh, gross.
Creepy guy. He was funny, though.
At least he didn't text you.
No.
I remember meeting him. Like, I didn't take geology, but I always thought he was, like, a funny guy.
He had a coffee maker in his room, and so all the teachers, all the physics teachers, chemistry teachers, whatever, would go into his room to get coffee, and he would make it for them in the morning and put a rock from his desks. Like, he would get a rock every morning and put it in everyone's coffee and give it to them, and so they had to come back and deliver him back his rocks.
Ew!
I know!
But that's actually awesome.
Gross.
I love that, actually. We also got a couple stories from my mom. One of them being that her senior year in their homecoming game, the opposing team, so she grew up in Utah, and their school name was the Jordan Beet Diggers. So the opposing team mascot during their homecoming game brought out a beet and chucked it on the ground and was like stomping on it. And so some of the seniors were like, "Oh, you're disrespecting us," and they chased this mascot down, like ready to just beat the crud out of this
and
kid.
these were like the beefy guys,
like
right?
big guys. And so they eventually caught up to him, to the mascot, pinned him down, pulled the head off, and it was a girl. So they're like, can't beat you up. But she just, thought that was like a funny story and always will remember that. Another time, so every year there was like this legendary neighborhood that had these big, wealthy parties, like just huge, massive parties in a clubhouse. It wasn't her school, but they would go every year. If you were a senior, you got in for free, but everyone else had to pay. And you had to be from the school, so my mom always paid anyways, being from a different school. Her senior year, her friend Nanette and her decided they didn't want to attend their graduation party, but wanted to do their own, which, hello, duh. And so they found a local gym that allowed them to rent the gym from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. That is a long dang party. It had a basketball court, a pool, and aerobics room, which they ended up hiring a DJ, so they just had like the dancing in that aerobics room. The DJ ended up being one of their friends and did it for free, which was super cool as well.
Let's go.
So their only rule, they had two rules. One was that they had to have chaperones. That one came from the people who own the gym, said, hey, you need to have chaperones, which of course sounds kind of lame for a graduating party, but you do what you need to do to rent the place, right? And then the other rule that they had placed was you had to sign in when you came in, and then you signed out. Once you signed out, you couldn't come back in because they didn't want people leaving, drinking, and coming back in the party. Mm-hmm. They were trying to have a clean party, which is good. Proud of Nanette and Mom. So they had sold tickets to not just their school, but they did sell tickets to other schools as well. But if you bought the ticket beforehand, it was $5. And if you waited to buy it at the door, it was $10. They only sold one ticket beforehand to Matt Moon.
Matt Moon! Shout out Matt Moon. Dude, that would freak me out if I planned this huge hunkin' party and it's, rivaling against this other legendary party that's going on too, and one person buys a ticket. You're like, holy crap.
And Nanette's mom, had bought a bunch of food. Tons and tons of food. Because their graduating class was 219 people. So they were planning on, the majority to show up.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Of course, they were freaking out and going, well, guess no one's going to come and we're going to be out this money and this sucks.
Gotta go through with it anyways.
Night of the party, 201 people showed up to this party.
Let's go!
So it ended up being, one of the most epic parties they had. And since they all paid that night, they all got $10 out of them instead of $5. So they had so much extra money that they paid for their rental, paid for all the food.
They paid the DJ.
They paid the DJ, even though he was doing it for free, exactly. And then there was a guy who did a backflip off of a table or something and like smashed a hole in the wall. So they paid to get that fixed as well. And still had money left over.
Let's go.
So congrats, Nanette and
I know.
Mom, for
Next
making
stage?
like the best party.
Yeah, seriously, that's...
They should have just kept doing it. Even though they graduated, like, make a little extra money.
Well, the next morning, she just packed up her stuff and went to Hawaii with her
That's
sisters,
true.
right?
Yeah, I think so.
Dude, what a way to graduate.
That would be really fun.
That's so legendary.
I don't even remember what I did, to be completely honest.
On your night?
I'm pretty sure we just went over to one of our friends' house and just, like, hung out and watched a movie till, like, 7 a.m.
That's so lame. My friend Dom and I, we went to, like, one of my friends' party, like, their big group, and they were being lame. They were just hanging out. And he's like, let's go to my friend's party. And they had rented a house, and it was, like, a big party. It was so fun. People hopping in the pool, and it was cool. Last story, you ready? This one's from my boy Nate. It says, senior prank. We were approaching high school graduation, and so the time was here for our senior prank. I had always heard of great stories like parking the principal's car on a roof, or wait, hold on.
How do you do that? Who does that?
The end. There's a story. Who did that? If you did that, please let us know. The other one was filling the swimming pool with fish, so we were all ready to do something crazy. Unfortunately, we had to get clearance from our principal, who was very strict, and if we did anything...
defeats the whole purpose.
I know. I think we checked with our principal, too. We're like, what do we do? And, like, they disapproved everything, and then they're like, you guys can bring your pets. So everyone brought their pets. It was lame. It was super
I don't
lame.
even think we did anything. I think people just took all the homework they had over the year and just, like, chucked it off the balcony, and then we walked away.
I think everyone does that now.
Yeah.
Oh, and so they had to get clearance from the principal, and if we did anything she didn't like, we'd be suspended or unable to walk at graduation.
So dumb.
The class got together and created a list of maybe 30 ideas that we were all excited about. Our principal shut down 26 of them, and for the other 4...
Jeez, how did they even come up with 26?
We had to make adjustments to get her okay. She forced us to tone down the pranks, and what we ended up doing included taking all the chairs out of the school and lining them up outside in the walkways, filling up a bunch of balloons and piling up in the hallways, bringing in...
That's a lot of balloons.
Bringing in... I think his school was like a newer school. I don't think it was that big. They brought in hay bales and scattered them everywhere in the classrooms. And there were a couple more small pranks, but nothing too exciting. We were there all night having a good time and setting up the pranks. Our principal showed up at the school at 7 a.m. to take a look at our prank and then let us know that we had to get everything cleaned up before school started again.
I wouldn't have done it. Honestly, I would have just, like... I probably would have been the one in the back of a group, like, purposely hide and be like, RUN!
Wait. So they had to...
They did the prank, they got approval to do the prank, and had to clean it up before everyone showed up to school. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why even waste your time?
She should have told them that in the first place.
Right? Then I wouldn't have even done it.
We spent the next hour cleaning all the hay, popping and throwing away all the balloons, and bringing the chairs back into the high school. By the time school started, it was like nothing happened. Only a couple early birds saw what we had done, and we basically pranked ourselves. Worst prank of all time.
That's so sad. That just reminds me of senior ditch day. When teachers know when you've planned senior ditch day, and so they're like, well, we did a test on this day, and if you miss it, then you don't get a chance to redo it.
Eat dirt.
You're like, are you kidding me?
Go punch
my
sand.
teachers, the teachers that I had were obviously way cooler than my friends' teachers because they were like, yeah, so if you don't show up tomorrow, you know, like, I'm gonna be really mad, but, you know, we might just be watching a movie, but I'm gonna be really mad. They were cool. They were like, don't be here. Like, be kids, don't be here.
Yeah, that's so silly. Ugh. Teachers that make school miserable for literal teenagers.
For no reason.
Yeah.
They don't need that.
I didn't really ditch in high school. I mean, I'd ditch a sociology class where you just watch movies, but I really didn't ditch. I didn't have to because my mom would just text me and be like, "I'm coming to get you."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "All right, where are we going?"
And if I ever wanted to ditch too, I would just text her and say, "I'm leaving," and she would call the school and make an excuse for me.
Mom's so cool.
She's like, "Who cares? Just do it." Every time in orchestra, actually, going back to orchestra, every time we had a sub, the subs didn't know how to conduct an orchestra, so we just hung out. We didn't do anything. So I always snuck out the back door. I went through the band room, snuck out.
Yeah.
And what was that security guard's name? Leonard, who was always singing. Do you remember him?
Mm-mm.
He would drive around in his little car just la 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 la, just like singing his whole heart out. If he caught you, you were in trouble. The other guy would be like, "Yeah, dude, bring me back a drink."
Oh, really?
We'd always go to Circle K, get a drink, come back.
Oh my gosh! Speaking of the security
Which is Phil.
guards,
He was the best.
Oh, Phil! I have a story about him.
He's the coolest.
He's really cool, but I think, okay, this might not be a good thing. I was pretty good at lying and coming up with really good excuses. So
Yeah, I know, that's not a good thing.
well, I probably suck at it now, but in high school, I felt like I was really good at it. I did it a lot, and I didn't think I need to. But anyways, me and my friend were leaving sociology, and I said, "Okay, if a security guard stops us, don't say anything. Just let me talk." And she was like, "Okay." And so we're leaving, and Phil was there, and he's like, "Hey, where are you guys going?" I was like, "Oh, we're just headed to sociology. We were just in Stuco." And
You didn't even go to Stuco.
I didn't go to Stuco, and I didn't have what's it called? I didn't have seminary, but I was just like, "Hey, we're just going to seminary. We were in Stuco. We were going to Robinson's class." And he's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, okay, like have a good one, guys." And I was like, "All right, see ya." And then we start walking, and my friend turns around and keeps talking, and she's like, "Yeah, they had us do this," and I'm like, we're in the go. Why are you talking?" And I'm grabbing her. I'm like, "Come on!" And then I'm pretty sure he caught on to us, but we just kept going. I was like, "Come on, let's go," and then we just kept going. But
what a dummy! You're shut up.
I was like, "No, we're in the clear, bro. You don't have to say anything."
I love that.
Next week's prompt is movie theater stories. A time in a movie theater. And that's going to include Mom taking us out of school. So tune in next week for our movies in movie theaters. Whatever.
Have a good one, guys.